Sometimes I think to myself that actors and actresses really aren't happy in their chosen professions. It's certainly a job I could never do. For all the money and glamour and the fame of being a movie star and strutting along on a red carpet, going to award shows, spending time in exotic locations, and hanging around other beautiful people, it doesn't really make up for the fact that a celebrity's life becomes completely open to the public. There is no longer any such thing as privacy when you are a public figure, and in order to play the game and live the life, that's just something you are going to have to put up with. And to the credit of early Hollywood and older stars who were all about the bright lights and the glamour, it really did seem like the ideal life. There was an aura of mystique about figures like Audrey Hepburn and James Dean and Grace Kelly and Laurence Olivier, people who lived a life of glamour, but whom we didn't know all that much about personally. Because we only saw their faces in movies and through the characters and stories that they brought to life, there was a lot of mystery to them, a mystique that set them apart from the average person. They seemed to live these idyllic lives, and people were as eager to be them as they were to see their movies. Several decades later, we have only to look at social media and YouTube interviews to see how the times have changed. Nowadays, there are only a select few celebrities that are widely liked without being polarizing figures, and the era of mystique is completely gone. And nowhere is this more evident than with Rachel Zegler, Hollywood's newest rising star and sounding board for the feminist movement. Rachel Zegler's newest film, Snow White, a live-action Disney remake that no one asked for or wanted, has been so soundly criticized in the last year that I'm kind of surprised that they are still going forward with the production of it. Not only have Rachel Zegler's comments all but torpedoed any success that the movie might have had, but add to it the truly obnoxious CGI and an evil queen who is more attractive than the main character, and you have a recipe for disaster. Part of me expected this movie to be released straight to streaming services, and it still might after a few weeks in theaters. There are some who have no intention of seeing it whatsoever, and others who are salivating, waiting to see how bad it's going to be. I haven't decided which one of those people I'm going to be, but I still have some time to figure it out. In the meantime, however, Disney has decided to drop a brand new full-length trailer for the movie. But the catch is that it was not initially released on YouTube. If you wanted to watch it, you had to be present for the Wicked movie in which the trailer would play before. The Disney YouTube account has not released the trailer. And as of the last time I checked, there still isn't a trailer released by the official Disney YouTube account. And I can only help but think that that is due to fear, both of the recent comments Zegler has made about the US election, and to the fact that the last time they released a teaser trailer for this movie that no one asked for, it got ratioed to oblivion. But we all know why Rachel Zegler is so disliked. There have been multiple videos from content creators in the last year since she first opened her mouth on the red carpet, so I don't feel the need to talk about the actress too much at all, other than to have a private laugh about how she has gleefully devoted herself to ruining this movie before it ever comes out. Instead, let's discuss the trailer. Initially, the trailer begins with Snow White experiencing a memory from when she was a child with her father, while she's working in the Queen's palace like she's Cinderella. And then you have the evil queen doing her best impression of Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. The more I think about it, though, the more I can't help but see the comparisons between the two, and it's a little hilarious.
It is no concern of mine whether your family has... What was it again?
Food?
Ha! You really should have thought of that before you became peasants. We're through here. Take him away.
Of course, Snow White inevitably ends up stepping up to save the young man from the evil queen by suggesting that the people need some kindness, which is a little ironic considering the interviews that have been given. But we skip ahead past the obligatory magic mirror scene and the huntsman scene and find dear old Snow White alone in the forest, follow her to the dwarves' cottage where she falls asleep, and we are presented with our first in-depth look at the dwarves who were such a huge part of Disney's foundations. And oh my word, they look terrible. I think this is something that we can all collectively agree on, and it's a testament to just how scared Disney has been of offending literally anyone that they have taken away jobs from potential actors to play the dwarves and replace them with these CGI nightmares. But this is far more important than just looking at a very ugly thing that appears before your eyes on screen. And it struck me recently that this ultimately might be as damaging as the unlikable nature of the main character. If we look back at the original movie from 1937 that Rachel Zegler has claimed is so dated, one of the most charming aspects of that film were the dwarves themselves. They were all adorable fantasy creatures, but somehow retained a sense of self and personality that distinguished them from each other. Dopey was not the same as Bashful, was not the same as Grumpy, was not the same as Doc, and so on and so on. But with all these characters that we see here, other than Doc maybe, I can't tell which one of them is which. And being able to tell the dwarves apart is a key part of why they are so memorable. For a character to have an identity is an important thing, and it's just as important that writers create distinguishing markers between their characters so that people know who they are and what they're all about. Snow White had a special relationship with each of the dwarves in the original movie, particularly Grumpy, who didn't trust her at first, and who she managed to win over with kindness and generosity. By the end of the movie, he genuinely loved her and was distraught when he believed she was dead. Snow White endeared herself enough to the dwarves that they went after the evil queen, seemingly to kill her when they thought she had killed their friend. They were very brave and hardy individuals, if a bit strange, but that's what made them so collectively great. I don't expect that we'll see that in this movie. Remember that Rachel Zegler has told us that Snow White will not be saved by the prince. She will not dream about true love. She will be dreaming about becoming a leader, because that's all any Disney princess has ever dreamed about, apparently. We can also tell that with the all-new song that we heard in this trailer, where Snow White is singing about being the girl she's meant to be and facing down the evil queen with no weapon. Can I also just say that this image of the evil queen turned old hag is utterly terrifying, and I never want to see it again? But then I kind of feel this way about the entire movie, too. Instead of seeing an actual princess, we're going to see a corporate activist who is fighting the power and then taking it for herself. And that, unfortunately, is what Disney has become, a corporate entity that is utterly hypocritical in its dealings with equality and fairness, both domestically and overseas, and ultimately, they are rather cowardly as well, given their removal of actual actors from the dwarves and their hiding of this trailer because they were so fearful of how it would be received. And they were right to be. At best, this movie is just going to be a whole lot of nothing, a soulless corporate piece of media that will likely be forgotten about by the end of 2025. And at worst, well, we're already seeing a lot of the worst, so I'm not sure how it gets even more terrible. But I have a feeling that we're going to find out. If you don't want to watch this soulless piece of corporate-approved media infused with activism so much so that it's bludgeoning you in the head, can I recommend watching the original Snow White? One of the reasons people liked it so much was that it's a charming tale with likable characters all around who were ultimately drawn in or repulsed by the kindness of the main character. Snow White coming into their lives changed the dwarves for the better, and despite all of the suffering she had endured, Snow White still chose to be kind to others. That's a lesson I think is far more important than fighting the power or whatever it is that Rachel Zegler is attempting to do in this new movie. Could I be wrong? Sure. But after everything we've seen, I don't really think so. Only time will tell, I suppose. But we've had plenty of time to see what is happening in this movie, and I think that time has told that this movie is likely to be pretty terrible. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. What do you think of the new Snow White trailer? And are you planning to go see the movie? Be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section, and let the conversations begin. Until next time, everyone.